Gaming has come a long way since the 8-bit days. From console wars to creating icons, we've seen an abundance of change in the gaming industry. With the next generation of consoles improving the quality of games you can play these days, so does the variety of games themselves. Today, you can experience a wide variety of games and genres that fit your niche. There's one genre in particular I always feel is a hit or miss. That genre being stealth games. There are a few stealth games that stick close to many. There's one game series in particular I personally feel has cemented itself as the definitive stealth game experience. That series being Hitman. If you're an avid fan of the series, then you know what I'm talking about. However, if you're new, then let me explain to you why I say that. Hitman at its core is a stealth series, one where if you master the arts of the silent assassin, you leave each level satisfied and feeling like a genius for being able to complete said levels without any alerts being raised. However, it wasn't always like this for our murderous bald man. While many know of the game, very few play Hitman Codename 47. Not because it's bad, although you wouldn't be wrong, but because it's a PC exclusive. The game itself, to say the least, is rough, but filled with genius concepts back in the year 2000. So let's take a look into Agent 47's debut game and talk about how Hitman redefined the stealth genre. The early 2000s was definitely a prime decade when many iconic games were released, such as GTA San Andreas, Halo 2, and even movie games like Spider-Man 2. The first Hitman game was not part of this lineup because, as mentioned earlier, it was a PC-only game. The reason being is because IO Interactive, the devs behind the Hitman series, weren't able to get their hands on the console development kits, and opted to focus on creating a PC game instead. It's actually interesting to hear the creation of Hitman, as IO Interactive actually wanted to create an MMO game, but were instead challenged into creating a shooter, thus led to the concept of a run-and-gun shooter that is based off John Woo films. And while IO Interactive had concepts, they would however get pointed into a more methodical gameplay as opposed to the run-and-gun style they had planned. This concept game would soon turn into what is now released as Hitman Codename 47. The game itself received mixed reviews. There are many aspects that are genius for its time, but downright awful as well. Before we dive into what makes this game mixed, let's dive into what makes Hitman an interesting series. The story for Codename 47 is quite simple. Agent 47 wakes up in an asylum unknown to why he's there, and is told by some voices to follow his instructions, which serves as the tutorial level. Once Agent 47 makes his way through the Call of Duty training simulation, he escapes the asylum, unaware that he's being monitored by the main villain of the game. Some time passes and we see 47 working for an assassin agency, where now he does contract work to spin the block on the ops. For the first game, we witnessed 47 take out a triad leader, a Colombian drug lord, an Austrian mercenary, and a Kazakh gunrunner. Excuse me if I said that wrong. All requiring meticulous planning from the GOAT himself.
I need to use the bathroom.
They all seem random contracts with no connection whatsoever, but as the story progresses, you see hints that these targets actually have connections to one another. After a rigorous journey of instigating a gang war like an op, clapping Scarface from behind, committing a devious lick at a hotel, and disarming a literal nuke, you soon realize that the contracts that you were assigned to complete were requested by the same person. So, 47 is given one final contract for this client, and is to go to a Romanian hospital and clap a doctor named Kovacs. Here is when the story ramps up to 100, because in the midst of getting to the hospital, Romanian SWAT members are en route due to the secret client setting up 47. And once 47 reaches Dr. Kovacs, he soon realizes that he is in the exact same place he escaped at the beginning of the game. Thankfully, 47 is a Division 1 Sneak Nation member because he claps the doctor and uses his clothes to sneak past the SWAT members to find the secret entrance to confront this mysterious client who has been watching 47 since the beginning of the game. Which, spoilers, his name is Dr. Ortmeyer. Once 47 reaches the secret floor of the hospital, it is here where you realize the true upbringing of 47. He is actually a genetic experiment of all his previous targets and Dr. Ortmeyer combined. However, Dr. Ortmeyer doesn't like how free will 47 is, so he has created other versions of 47 to clap him in the final level. And despite being a genetic amalgamation of 5 deadly people, these clones are frauds because 47 has experience over them. And the minigun, but who's paying attention to the details? Once 47 finishes putting all his brothers on t-shirts, he confronts Dr. Ortmeyer, who tries to pull a fast one on 47. But bro's attempt is as good as a new Elden Ring player beating the Tree Sentinel on their first try. non-existent. After bro is done yapping about being heartbroken because of 47's actions, 47 himself decides to finish the job.
What good is a bullet-proof vest when death strikes from within?
I need to use the bathroom.
Thus concludes the story of Codename 47. And it's definitely an interesting story, because the plot isn't fully relevant until the end, as each level is more focused on the area you're in to assassinate your target. However, I think this is fine, because on a surface level, you see a man who is just doing his job to complete contracts and clapping people who are often seen as untouchable. Diving deeper at the small glimpse and tidbits that await for you at the end of the game, you see the characterization of 47 as he is more than just a silent protagonist. I mean, he does talk in the game itself, but each level has nothing to do with his characterization or anything that would further his character. So taking the time to see how he reacts at the end of the game brings up a curious question. How does 47 truly react to this? Thankfully, there's an answer to this in the sequel, but that itself will be for another video. The game's overall narrative is pretty enjoyable. It's just a shame that the same can't be said for the gameplay. When it comes to gameplay, the first thing I actually want to talk about right away is the difficulty curve. It's very evident of this when you play and assassinate the first two targets of the game. First target being Li Hong, a triad leader. Now, in order to reach him, you have to weaken him, which introduces the first 3 levels in the game. First level requires you to clap one of his negotiators, so you go on top of a building, pull out the sniper, and crank a montage clip on him. Pretty simple if you ask me. And second level is no different, as you are now required to set up an attack on the rival gang members to make it look like a retaliation attack. So you wait for the right time to disguise as a chauffeur, plant an explosive on the car, and time the explosion right to take everyone out. Another easy mission with a few more steps if you ask me. Third mission, however, has just a little spike in difficulty, as you are now required to disguise as Li Hong's new negotiator and take out the chief of police, because bro's actually a corrupt cop trying to keep the peace between the gang members. You'll first need to go to the meeting spot, drop your gun in the bathroom, and leave, because later on, once you take out the actual negotiator and disguise yourself as him, police guards will ask you for your weapons once you enter the building, and if you don't plant that gun early on, you'll ruin your run. A lot more methodical planning if you ask me. I feel like these missions were meant to help you be prepared for the actual assassination, but these pale in comparison to when you actually go to assassinate Li Hong. You have to now go inside Li Hong's building, and my god is it massive. You have to look around, find openings, and figure out the best route to assassinate Li Hong. Not only that, but you have to find a jade statue, which you can't easily find because there are safes all over the map. And to add damage to this task, it's randomized every run. And on top of that, it requires a combination code, so you have to find a whole combination to open the right safe, or else you screw your entire run in this mission. I remember my first time playing this game, and took over an hour to do this one mission alone, all because of how underprepared I was to tackle this behemoth of a mission. Yet, it doesn't mean it isn't fun, because in that 1 hour, I took the time to figure out the ins and outs of that location, and it was genuinely rewarding to figure out how to best manage my actions in order to still remain undetected. It's just a massive change in gameplay structure, because the first 3 levels are pretty linear with a tad bit of sandbox gameplay. My only issue from this mission, aside from how underprepared I was, is the enemy AI. If anything, I believe that's one of the main reasons why this game is messy. The AI in this game is horrendous. You see, if I'm in my regular outfit, it makes sense that I can't go anywhere restricted. However, if I have a triad outfit on, I should be able to sneak around, right? Except that's not the case, because they still treat you like you're some outsider, and it makes no sense at all on how that works. Not only that, but at one point in the mission, you are given a chance to take out Li Hong by poisoning his soup. But it goes wrong because his guard will drink it, leaving you exposed and needing to take out his guard. Now, in order to avoid being detected here, you have to holster that gun you used the minute the cutscene is done, or else the entire place will run you down and give you that Gojo special. It's genuinely insane how split second your choices have to be in this game. Despite that, I genuinely enjoyed how Hitman presents their mission structure. You are let loose in an area and are tasked to assassinate a target, but how you do that is completely up to you. It's only a shame that this entire concept for Hitman was executed poorly when it came to the second target. You want to talk about the definition of fumbling the bag? Just look at the very next set of missions after assassinating Li Hong. Finding the Uwa tribe, the jungle god, and say hello to my little friend are by far the worst missions to ever come from Codename 47. Nonetheless, the entire series itself. You are thrown in the jungles of Colombia in order to find the lead on the Colombian drug lord. The best chance you have is to finding the Ua tribe and get answers from them by reclaiming an artifact that was stolen from them. It's simple on paper, but when you look at the map itself, you realize how massive the area is to explore and figure out what to do. Sure, if you pay attention to your surroundings, you'll actually be able to navigate your way to your goals. But the problem is the drug lord's military men, which brings up the other problem with this level: the enemy AI. Lord have mercy, I get that you're in an area that you're not supposed to be in, but man, if you get spotted once in this level, they open fire on you, and if you aren't prepared to fight back, you'll get smoked immediately. Even if there's cover, you can't even use that to stealth your way properly. And it's like that for the remainder of these levels. If you manage to clap the guards, take an outfit, and complete the level, you are dealt with the mess known as the Jungle God. Here, you have to reach the other side of the map to access the drug lord's base. The only thing stopping you is a literal jaguar. You can play this level the way it was meant to be played and give the jaguar a sacrifice so it's distracted so you can sneak by. Or you can simply do what I did and just speed run through all of this, ignore everyone, and as soon as you get to the tunnel, you just skip the cutscenes so you don't get killed immediately by the jaguar. It's genuinely dumbfounding how this itself is a level when it can be mixed with the first level. Regardless, these two levels pale in comparison to the bullshit that is known as "say hello to my little friend." I will say this now: if you failed to grab a sniper in the previous level, good luck, because this level is by far the worst thing I have ever played. This mission requires you to clap the drug lord, bomb his base of operations, and then leave via an airplane that is located at the base. Now, depending if you brought a sniper or not, clapping the drug lord can be easy or can be outright annoying, because with the sniper, all you have to do is sneak around on the exterior of the base, find the window that's open, and just clap him from behind. If you don't have a sniper, you have to get into the base, sneak into his house, and run up on him and get behind and slit his throat, because if you try to go into a gunfight with him, he's just gonna be taking all those bullets for a good minute, and by the time you're done, your cover's already been blown. And that's not even the worst of the entire mission. The worst is planting the bomb inside the base. Remember how I said it's annoying that I could be wearing a triad outfit and still be restricted to areas? Yeah, this is the same case. If you go into the drug lord's house, you can be stopped by these annoying guards even though you're literally wearing the same clothes. But when you go to the base, you have this dude who has the audacity to run at you and tell you to scram, but you can't scram because you have to literally go in there and plant a bomb, and running past him is such a janky mess because you can either get past him and get in the base without issue, or he'll tweak out and just start opening fire at you. And my god, if your cover is blown at any point in this level, everyone and their mothers will pull out the machine and blow you open. And there is little to none cover in this map, and there is no possible way of beating this entire base without dying because they're everywhere.
Find another place to hang around.
And I have played this mission over and over and over until I just decided to give up and look up a walkthrough, because I myself have failed to realize that I needed a sniper for my first run, which made this entire mission irritating. This mission is not forgiving, and I am glad they scrapped this style of mission because it does not fit Hitman in any way. I also hear lots of talk about the mission Plutonium Runs Loose being the hardest, but I for one disagree. It is forgiving despite the fact that you can't legit go anywhere without another guard walking the direction you need to go, which again is the enemy AI being dumb. And this could all be fixed if they had simply just tweaked the AI just a little bit. But in terms of the first game, the only thing you get as a way to correct your mistakes are multiple lives. Because if you get caught and are clapped by the enemies, you'll just respawn, but the enemies are still on alert. So that doesn't help you in any way because they'll just gun for you regardless. I know I'm venting out my frustrations on this game, and I won't deny, this game has aged poorly, and it's more of a proof of concept than a game itself if I'm being honest. And I also know I've made this video about how Hitman redefined the stealth genre, but I'm here just trashing the game itself. So why did I exactly make the video with such a bold claim? Despite how janky the gameplay can be, the concepts and execution on the levels of this game outweigh the bads. And it is the very reason why Hitman stands out to this day as one of the definitive stealth games series for the genre itself. Now, I did say the gameplay was poor, but that's only on the bad levels. But the good levels themselves actually execute these concepts perfectly. It just makes the gameplay memorable. I've already talked about Li Hong's assassination. However, the other level that I want to talk about probably serves as the definitive Hitman experience. Traditions of the Trade is by far better in terms of level quality. Traditions of the Trade leave you with much more options on completing your objectives. The objectives of this mission is pretty simple. Take out 2 targets, the Fuchs brothers. On top of that, you'll need to sneak out a dangerous explosive from the hotel that the Fuchs brothers are staying at. The way you handle them is completely up to what you find in your exploration at the hotel. There are metal detectors all over the place, so you're restricted to not having firearms unless you want to John Wick the place up. But that's far too easy if you ask me. Some of my favorite methods are more slow and methodical because the payoff of getting these targets are far more rewarding when you do this slow and stealth-like. So I often prefer getting fits in the bathhouse, and either A, close this fraud in the sauna room, or B, equip the fiber wire and clap him real quick in the pool before anyone notices. The other target, Franz, isn't necessarily harder to get, but it does require a bit more planning because he will always be in his room showering. Originally, I used to think you would need to dress up as a hotel worker, clap the first guard with a kitchen knife, use a master key that you would steal from another worker to get access to the room, clap the other guard, and place a do not disturb sign before taking out the main target. But I found it easier to just steal the master key, sneak into the next room over, and just jump the balcony over, clap both guards, and put the sign up so no one enters the room when you're clapping Franz in his speedo. Side note, this is actually the only level in the game where you get to jump a balcony. Grabbing the explosive is pretty much easy because you can either clap a guard, take his outfit, and make the retrieval easy, or you can time your moves right when sneaking around to avoid any kind of detection. If you manage to do all of this without raising any alerts, it feels so rewarding as it makes you feel like a real silent assassin. And this is the reason why I feel so strong on what makes Hitman a unique stealth game that redefines its genre. Being able to explore a sandbox, try different methods on your approach, and be rewarded for preferring a slower approach as opposed to a rash one makes this game fun to play as the new methods are opened up. Now, going back to the run and gun method for a second, I do want to mention, if you take Franz's keys when leaving the room, you can go back to the front desk and ask for his mail, which opens up a secret when going to the floral room, as you are now given a shotgun, which is totally nuts, but a fun option if you choose to do so. Another strong point to this is the disguise mechanic that the game offers. I have briefly touched on it. One of the staple reasons why Hitman is iconic is the ability to take the clothes of another person and access areas you couldn't before. Having to play the role perfectly to avoid suspicion is intense and makes finishing the level without getting caught all the more rewarding. Thankfully, the later installments developed this mechanic further as the challenge to avoid suspicions get raised while still holding the fundamentals that make the mechanic so refreshing. And despite how many will feel about this game, I feel that Codename 47 was a good introduction to the series, although be it the game itself has aged poorly. But it is one that would pave the ways to sequels that would improve on the highs of the first game and eventually create the magnum opus to the Hitman series, which that's up to you, but me personally, I think it's blood money. And one final thing I want to add is that thankfully, some of these levels that are in Codename 47, except this dumpster fire of a level, would be given a breath of fresh air in the later game known as Hitman Contracts. With that said, congrats crew. You're at the end of the video. What do you think about Hitman? Do you think it redefines stealth games, or am I just giving a bad take? Let me know in the comments below. I always love hearing your guys' opinions on these kinds of videos. So, with nothing else left to say, I'm out of here guys. But until the next video crew, make sure to have a great day or night, and I'll see you guys on the next one.